All right, in this video, we're going to take a look at a couple different things. Specifically, we're going to look at decimal fraction equivalents and also adding decimal fractions. So if we take a look here at this picture, we have 2/10ths and 20/100ths. Talking about a couple things that we might notice if you're looking at this model, you can see that the units are much larger and that there's fewer units. Here you can see that the units themselves are much smaller and that there's more units overall. Something else we might notice is that this model takes up the same amount of size as is this one, but the values might be different or they might look different. So one thing we need to look at or need to know is that 2/10ths is equivalent to 20/100ths. So if we take a look here, we'll see what I mean. Right now, this represents 2/10ths, but take a look and it turns into 20/100ths. Again, we're back to 2/10ths. Again, we have 2/10ths, and I'm going to change it back to 20/100ths. Now, something to notice is that the size of my fraction, whatever was shaded or colored in, didn't change. It stayed the same size. The only thing that happened is we added more partitions. We added more lines. We divided our value into different parts, but it's still the same. So the thing to remember is that 2/10ths is equal or equivalent to 20/100ths. Taking a look at this problem, we have 5/10ths and 50/100ths. So one thing that we're going to say about that is that this is currently 5/10ths. 5/10ths is equivalent to 50/100ths. Now that we know that, we can take a look at a problem like this and kind of figure out what might we do with something like this when we're adding 3/10ths plus 5/100ths. There's a lot of common misconceptions that you might make. These are some mistakes that some people make from time to time. Adding 3/10ths plus 5/100ths. I've seen this a lot. They'll come up with 8/100ths. But don't forget that these denominators are different. I've also seen this. 3/10ths plus 5/100ths. And they'll just add straight across and come up with 8/110ths, and that's also incorrect. So we'll take a look at what we can do. We're going to have to change one of these fractions so that they refer to the same whole. We can't add fractions with different denominators until they have the same whole. So we're going to take a look at that same problem, 3/10ths plus 5/100ths, and kind of decide how can we change one of these so that we have two fractions with the same denominator. So one thing I can do is I can take these and I can move them around so that they're both going to equal hundredths. Okay? Now I could try, and if I move these 5/100ths over here, that's not going to give me a value that I can work with. So I'm just going to slide this over. But I have 3/10ths here, 1, 2, 3/10ths. And these 3/10ths, I can slide them over here, and now I can easily see that these 3/10ths are the same as 30/100ths. 30/100ths plus 5/100ths equals, let's write it out, 30/100ths plus 5/100ths equals 35/100ths. And this matches my answer in the model. Taking a look at another problem, 7/10ths plus 2/100ths. Be careful not to make a mistake like doing something like 7/10ths plus 2/100ths equals 9/100ths. Or maybe 9/10ths, both of those would be incorrect. Also 9/110ths would all be incorrect. We need to come up with an equivalent. We need to change one of our fractions so that they refer to the same denominator. So here I have 7/10ths and I've got 2/100ths. I'm going to slide these 2/100ths over. I'm going to make my 7/10ths turn into, let's count up here. Each one of these is 10 in the column. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70/100ths. Plus 2/100ths, and I might just change my fractions up here. Instead of 7/10ths, I'm going to make it 70/100ths plus 2/100ths equals 72/100ths. And this matches my model. We're going to take a look at one more problem like this. We've got 5/10ths and 5/100ths. Careful not to make the same mistakes we were making before. We'll take a look at these two models. Here I have 5/10ths, because I can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are shaded, and 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 total. And here I have 5/100ths. So So I'll do the same thing I've been doing, and before I even do it, I'm just going to make a prediction. I know that here, each column is worth 10, here it's worth 1, so I'm basically multiplying by 10. So 5 tenths, I think, is going to turn into 50 hundredths. I'll double check. Here it's 5 tenths. Now it's 50 hundredths plus 5 hundredths. And I'll write out my problem. 5 tenths turns into 50 hundredths plus 5 hundredths equals 55 hundredths. And I'll double check to make sure it matches my picture, which it looks like it does. Okay, now we're going to look at a couple problems where we're given two models that we need to add together. One is in tenths, one is in hundredths, and we're going to write them as a fraction addition sentence and as a decimal addition sentence. First thing is to come up with common denominators. Right now I have 3 tenths and 8 hundredths. I'm going to move these around. So now it looks like I have 38 hundredths, so I'm going to write them as fractions. Originally it was 3 tenths, but I'm changing 3 tenths into 30 hundredths. Plus 8 hundredths equals 38 hundredths. Now as decimals, when my picture was over here, it was 3 tenths, so I would write it as 3 tenths. But as we move it to find an equivalent, it turns into 30 hundredths, so I will just change 3 tenths into 30 hundredths. And my single hundredths are going to remain the same. It's going to be 8 hundredths. Now one thing, if you need to do this to help you, it's a good way to double check yourself, is to stack the numbers like you're used to doing, just to make sure you don't make a mistake. 0 plus 8 is 8, 3 plus 0 is 3. Don't forget to line up your decimal, and 0 plus 0 is 0. So 30 hundredths plus 8 hundredths equals 38 hundredths. So I should have the same answer once, twice, 3 times. And they all look like they match 38 hundredths. Let's take a look at another problem here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the problem as it is 2 times. Once as fractions and once as decimals. So the first thing I see is it looks like it's 1/10 plus 1/100. So that's what I'm going to write. I've got 1/10 plus 1/100. And also, in decimals, it's 1/10 plus 1/100. Now, my denominators are different. My values are not going to add up quite the way I want them to. So I'll just double check with my picture. I have an idea of what I think it will be, but we'll double check here. So what I can see is that 1/10, when we came up with a different denominator, turns into 10 hundredths. And my 1/100th, that stays the same. Again, 1/10 when it was over here, when moved to this model, turns into 10 hundredths. And again, my single hundredth stays the same. So 10 hundredths plus 1/100th, and according to my picture, equals 11 hundredths. Same thing, I can stack these just to be sure. 0 plus 1 is 1, 1 plus 0 is 1, decimal, 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 0 plus 0 is 0. Again, I'm looking for the same answer once, twice, 3 times. They all say 11 hundredths. Okay, we're going to look at one more problem here, and I'm going to do this the same way as I did the last one, which is just to write the original problem a couple different times in different forms, and then we'll see how we can come up with some equivalents. First thing I'm going to do is write the problem how it is. And here I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 are shaded out of 10. So I've got 9 tenths here and 7 hundredths here. Again, as decimals, 9 tenths here and 7 hundredths here. Now, I'm going to do my math first, and then I'll go back and double check with the picture. I think 9 tenths, when I come up with an equivalent, will turn into 90 hundredths. I think my 7 hundredths will stay the same, so my answer is 90 hundredths plus 7 hundredths equals 97 hundredths. Here, 9 tenths, I think I'm just going to add a 0 to make it 90 hundredths. And I will stack these so I'm able to add them with accuracy. 0 plus 7 is 7, 9 plus 0 is 9, Line up my decimals. 0 plus 0 is 0. 0 and 97 hundredths. So I think my answer is going to be 97 hundredths, which if there's 100 squares here, only these 3 are going to be the only ones that are not filled in, if we did our math correctly. So we'll move our hundredths away. Our 9/10ths turn into, again, 9/10, let's do that again. 9/10ths turn into 90 hundredths. And my 7 hundredths stay the same. It looks like our answer is 97 hundredths, all 3 times. So that is a little bit on decimal equivalence as well as adding decimal fractions. Check back for more next time.